everyone, I'm Jennifer from Luna Yoga, and today we're going to do some yoga for runners. So I certainly am not a runner at all, but I have been practicing yoga for many years, and I've helped people train for marathons as well as recover from marathons. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to take downward facing dog pose. So you can come onto your hands and knees. You want to have your hands about shoulder distance apart and knees and feet hip distance apart. We're going to tuck our toes under and we're going to lift the hips up and back. And you might need to just adjust the spacing between the feet and the hands. So if you come into plank pose, shoulders over wrists, body straight, then you pike your hips up and back. That'll be the right spot for the distance between hands and feet. Now, when we run, we really work the hamstrings a lot so they can become quite tight. So this pose might be a little difficult for you. If you do have tight hamstrings, you'll need to bend your knees a little bit. Otherwise, your back will be rounded. So let's find a bit of a softness in the knees. Try to find that straight line from our hands to our hips, and then gradually work the heels towards the ground, maybe one heel at a time. Especially if you're doing this post-run, you might feel a little tight, so just gently bend one knee, press opposite heel to the floor. This is going to help you stretch out your hamstrings, but also your ankles and your calves. It's a really great pose to do. So keep moving back and forth a couple of times. Make sure you're taking some deep, full breaths while we move. And then let's inhale, come into plank pose. Pause for a moment. And then exhale, lower your knees, your chest, and your chin to the ground. Inhale into a low cobra. Roll your shoulders back, hug your elbows in. And then push back your seat to your heels, tuck your toes back into downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's stretch the right leg up and back, and then we're going to step the right foot between the hands. So if it doesn't make it all the way in one shot, then just grab your ankle, guide your foot up. So your right knee is above your ankle, and we're going to bring the left toes straight back. Okay, so that might be a deep stretch for you. You can stay on your hands, or if it's possible, bring your hands up onto your front knee or thigh. So you can just pause and breathe here and really let the hip stretch out. If you want to make it a little bit more intense, then you can tuck your back toes. This will also help stretch out the toes. And we're going to lift the back knee off the ground. Now, for some of us, we'll be arching our backs a little bit too much. So if that's the case, just bend your back knee, hands to your hips. Try to tuck your tailbone a little bit so your pelvis is not tilting so far forwards, drawing your tailbone down a little bit. Okay? Keep pulling the tailbone down. Press the left heel straight back. And then you'll feel that deep, intense stretch in front of your left hip and on your left thigh. So let's breathe 2 more breaths wherever you are, whether the knee is lifted or down on the floor. Really let it stretch out. And then exhale, release. Take your hands to the mat and let's step back, downward facing dog. So left leg up, big stretch. Step your left foot forwards. So again, knee right above the ankle. Let's lower the right knee to the floor. And we could even just stay with the hands on the mat if that's really intense for you, or we'll bring the hands to the front knee or thigh. So really stretching out the front of the right hip. And again, we can just take our deep breaths right here, taking about 5 total, or we can tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. We're going to tuck our tailbone and then extend the right leg. Breathe in. Breathe out. Again, breathe in. Try to relax your shoulders. Breathe out. So really making sure you're releasing the tension there. Let's bring the hands to the mat and let's step back, downward facing dog pose. So let's inhale into plank pose again. So if you want to do the same we did last time, knees, chest, chin, you can do that. Or if you want to try full chaturanga, you're lowering just halfway to the height of the elbows. Then you can come right up into up dog this time. So push into the tops of your feet, lift your knees, lift your thighs, stretch out the tops of your feet, and then downward facing dog pose. Let's stretch the right leg up again And this time we're going to bring the right knee to the right wrist. And we're going to bring the shin on an angle for pigeon pose. Let's back up the left leg until our hips are nice and close to the ground. If you're not able to get too low, then you could put a block under your right hip or a cushion. Inhale here. And then exhale, maybe walk yourself forwards onto your forearms. Or if it's comfortable for you to rest your forehead on your hands, you can go ahead and do that. So pigeon pose is really great stretch for our hips again. And along the side of your right thigh. So just close your eyes and try to release that tension. Notice if you're clenching at all and see if you can kind of relax into it. And let's take one more breath. Okay, and then we'll come up onto our hands and we'll do the other side. So we're going to tuck the left toes, downward facing dog. Other side, left leg lifts, and bring the left knee over towards the left hand. The heel goes towards the right hip. So your left shin is on an angle. You can sort of walk your right leg back as far as you can just by tucking your toes, pulling your hips nice and low. Inhale. Exhale, walk yourself forwards onto your forearms. Or if it's comfortable for you to come right down, forehead on your hands. And so running really helps strengthen your muscles, so it's really important just to stretch them out as well. So you can do this little sequence right after a run. Or maybe you alternate and run one day, stretch the other day. Just finding that balance. One more deep breath here. And then let's come up onto our hands. And we're going to tuck the right toes. We're going to step back into downward facing dog pose. Good. And then let's lower down onto our knees. And we're going to just cross the ankles, sit back. We're going to set up for Cobbler's pose. So you want to bring the bottoms of your feet together, the knees out to the side. And if you feel like you're rounding in your back, you can't get your pelvis straight up, then sit on a block or a cushion, or just take your hands behind you and kind of prop yourself up. So you want to press your chest forwards, let your knees move out towards the side. They might not come all the way down. That's totally fine. Just close your eyes, breathe into it. You should feel that nice stretch on the inner thigh and hips and groin. If you have a little bit more flexibility, then you can hold your feet. Inhale, lift your chest, and then exhale and fold forwards. So as you fold, you want to make sure that you're not folding in the middle of your back and rounding. You want to be folding at the hips. So your pelvis is tipping forwards. So instead of rounding, we're tipping the pelvis forward, trying to keep a nice flat back. And just close your eyes, breathe in, and breathe out. 2 more breaths. And then slowly bring yourself back up to seated. We're going to draw the knees together. We're going to come down onto our backs. And we're going to stretch out the hamstrings again, drawing the right knee into your chest. Stretch your left leg along your mat. So this is wind relieving pose, great for the hips. And then you can either grab your big toe with your right hand and try straightening your right leg. And if that's a little bit too much for you, you could put a strap or a belt around the bottom of your foot and just hold on to the belt with your hands. Another option would be just to hold on to the back of your leg. So the great thing about stretching out our hamstrings while we're lying down is that our backs stay straight, stay flat. So we really make sure we're just stretching the hamstrings. As opposed when we sit up and we try to fold forwards, then we often round our backs. So think inhale, and then exhale, drawing your leg in a little closer. And watch the shoulders aren't all bunched up and the arms aren't clenched. Relax your shoulders down. Keep the arms fairly straight. 2 more breaths. Good, and then gently release your right leg down. Let's draw the left knee into the chest. Start with wind relieving pose, gently releasing the hips. And then we'll try straightening the left leg, either holding the toe or using a strap. So if you want to put the strap around the ball of your foot and hold on with both hands, again, make sure your arms aren't all clenched. You want to walk your hands up the strap or the belt so your arms are pretty straight. Otherwise, holding the back of your leg or your foot. We're inhaling, sort of easing off a little bit, and then exhaling, drawing it in a little closer. Okay, and then gently release your left leg. This time we're going to lift both legs together. So you have the option to just do this in the middle of the room or wherever you are on your mat. Just bring your legs straight up. Or if you really want to stay for a longer time or want some support, you can do this against the wall. So you would just bring yourself as close to the wall as you can with your legs straight up and make sure your back is on the floor. So sometimes you won't get right into the wall right away. You gradually get yourself closer and closer, but that's probably one of the best hamstring stretches. And you just put your legs up, and then maybe with your arms, if you want to stretch out your arms or your shoulders a bit, you could make like a cactus shape with your arms, bending your elbows in a 90-degree angle, or you could sort of stack one forearm on top of the other, and then just make sure you spend some time with one forearm on top, and then switch and do the other forearm. Okay, so this is a great way to stretch your hamstrings, but it's also a way to sort of slow down your adrenaline or your nervous system. And it's great for bringing balance into body, mind, and breath. While I'm here, I often like to roll out my ankles. You could go ahead and do that as well. Get rid of any creaks and cracks. Move around your toes. You know, it's best to do this whole sequence in bare feet if you can. Okay, so if you have time to stay a little longer, you could stay exactly where you are. Otherwise, we're just going to hug the knees into the chest. We're going to roll to the right side. And that's it. So thank you for joining me today for our Yoga for Runners. I invite you to bring this into your daily or weekly running routine, whatever it is. And please feel free to leave a comment, like the video, or subscribe to us. We're happy to be putting up more and more videos each week. So thank you.